Greetings and welcome to Favored Praise, a platform where we talk about all things policy, be it at national, regional, or global levels. If it talks policy, be sure we're going to talk about it on this platform. And for those that are joining us for the first time, we humbly welcome you to our inner court as we delve deeper and hand you over the scepter of leadership to ask these different, sometimes difficult, sometimes uncomfortable questions with us. Well, sometimes it can be, is the policy really beneficial to the people? Is the policy really, benefiting the ones that it should, or it's just benefiting the leaders? Is it being implemented right down to grassroots levels? And how does that look like to an ordinary citizen? So these are the different questions that we get to ask. And welcome once again. Well, without wasting much of our time, today we want to go to a very beautiful and very lovely nation, which is the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. Well, some people may ask, where is this nation? Well, Afghanistan is in Asia, and it's one of the beautiful nations there. And what do I mean by beautiful? It has a very diverse population, diversity in terms of ethnicity, in the sense that they have over 14 different ethnic groups. This is really diversity. And not only that, Afghanistan is a very young nation in terms of its population. Is over 60% of the population is under the age of 25 years. So yeah, these are one of the things that make it beautiful. Its people, its culture, and everything. And basing on the fact that over 60% of the population is under the age of 25 years, we looked at it and we're like, what better way to look at Afghanistan than look at it through the lens of the children, as they make up most of the population. And hence this led us to look at the Child Protection Act, which is really like an interesting act. But well, for the sake of context, this act was enacted in 2019, and it was to bring about different rights for children. And one of them is the right to live, right to health, right to education, right to an honorable name, right? There are so many different rights within there. I think over 14. Yeah, thereabout. Well, and today we want to talk mostly about Article 18 of that Protection Act. And this article talks about contents of a birth registration form. So I know some people might be like, oh wow, a birth registration form, what is there to talk about it? But then we understand that this is a form that gives you the legality of being counted within the Afghan population. This is the registration that confirms that you are part of the Afghan population in terms of their data. And why is this important? Because there are certain parts of the form that are very different, and some of them they are very interesting, and we want to base on that to understand the different perceptions of the people, perceptions of the population based on the form itself. So part of the form, obviously it has name and surname, and part of it has name of the father, the mother, the grandfather, and also it includes details of your place of birth, and also it includes details of the occupation of the father, and also the interesting facts that we really want to look at is the tribe and also the nationality, which is given at birth and also like recorded at birth. And why are we really looking into this? It's because we want to understand how that being given at birth gives or promotes a sense of identity within a child. And maybe to first go back to, as we said, nationality is also conferred at birth. What is nationality? To understand it, nationality is, to define in our context today, nationality is a relationship between a person and a nation state. And not only that, nationality defines which government a person owes allegiance to. So, yeah, I think the last part where we say it defines which government a person owes allegiance to, this is the part that made it so interesting for us to understand conferring nationality at birth and what it really means for a child, what it really means for someone born in Afghanistan when they're called an Afghan at day one. Well, different things are at play. We also want to understand, is coming from a minority tribe going to give a child an acknowledgement of that? That we mean that acknowledging the fact that you were from a tribe A. For the sake of this conversation, we're just going to use alphabetical orders. So let's say tribe A and tribe B are minority groups, and tribe C and D are, the major tribes. So if you come from tribe A, which is a minority group, and having that on your registration form, does that weaken your chances of getting certain privileges or getting certain resources from the government or from the state that you have obviously proven your allegiance to, because you're already an Afghan national? And also, not only that, we want to talk about, ask the question, does having the nationality on paper really make me an Afghan in reality? What really makes one to prove that they are Afghan, and not just to prove, but to identify as an Afghan? I think this is one of the most important questions that we need to ask. What makes a child identify as an Afghan? Because policy sometimes can make things good on paper, but in reality, it's not so. So we want to understand, is the reality of the children whom have the nationality Afghan really corresponding to what is written on their forms? Because sometimes you can have a child being named Afghan, but there is nothing in their lives or in them that talks or maybe exposes or maybe represents that. And we really want to understand what makes a child feel like they are of this nationality, like they are an Afghan. Is it having it written on their registration form, or are the conditions that they experience from birth up and until they reach the ages of 18? Remember, we once said that at the beginning, that in Afghanistan, a child is anyone below the ages of 18. So what makes children identify as Afghan and be proud of that? Because one of the things that we need to understand when it comes to nationality, one has to own it. Yes, it might be on paper, but sometimes it's just on paper and people do not identify with it. So we want something that promotes a sense of identity. And what is that? What is that one thing that we can add to Afghan laws, to Afghan policies, that will make children not only bear the registration form written Afghan, but also owe their allegiance to the government? And we're not saying that in just passing, because remember we said our definition of nationality is someone who owes an allegiance to the government. So this is one question that we wanted to ask today. I know at times we have different 5, 10 questions that we want to ask, but today we just have one. Is the name Afghan nationality written on my registration form equivalent and strong enough to make me act, to make me react, to make me feel and be an Afghan? Or there are different things that add to that? Does a mere registration form promote a sense of identity, or I just use it as a citizenship and not a nationality? Because remember, there is a difference between citizenship and nationality. Nationality, it means, even the culture of the nation, even the culture of the people is in you. So these are the different things that then aid to you humbly and you proudly stating that you are of this nation. And citizenship is just you getting legal papers to be from that nation and benefit from the government of that nation. And it's not bad, but we really want to understand how having nationality in registration form at birth translate to promotion of a sense of identity. And today we're just using Afghanistan as a way of maybe saying a reference point, but this talks to different kinds of nations and different kinds of people. If you feel like this is you and also it's practiced in your nation, ask the same question. How has you having nationality conferred at birth